Notice of public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a workshop and regular meeting on Tuesday, November the 2nd, 2010, at 5:15 p.m. and 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall, Old Federal Building, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Workshop item A, progress report from Environmental Advisory Committee.
Everybody welcome. It is.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Good afternoon. We've had given about 4 updates. This will be our 4th update to the Commission. As you may recall, we began back in February with doing a test run, a dry run back then. Since then, the committee has met and brought to you before the Commission some changes to the ordinance, which the ordinance was amended. And at this point in time, we're working on frequently asked questions from the public. Some of the other items that we're working on, and Ms. Rose Timmer with Healthy Communities will be discussing the advertising plan. We're at a point where we're now getting the word out. Over 90% of City of Brownsville residents are well aware of the ordinance. Many local businesses have attended the meetings or have called our department to inquire about the ordinance. And at this time, I believe close to 80,000 reusable bags have been handed out in the City of Brownsville. The figure may actually be higher. So what I wanted to present to you is the advertising plan, and I'll be working with Ms. Rose Timmer for this presentation. The goals are to inform our Brownsville residents, as our ordinance stated, of the effects of the ordinance and the fact that the ordinance goes into effect January 1st, to continue to educate and prepare residents with any questions they may have, and to influence the residents' habitual behavior so that they will consciously remember to start shopping with a reusable bag.
We started out with a budget of about $85,000, and the committee.
Would you mind stating your name, sir?
I'm so sorry. Rose Timmer, Healthy
We know
Communities.
who you are, but I mean.
But let's let everybody know, this is Rose Timmer with Healthy Communities. And so we asked for a budget, advertising media campaign. I think the mayor suggested one. We had a couple of other people come up with some, and this is what we came up with. Lamar billboards, the bus ads, the Brownsville Herald, and the El Nuevo Periódico. The bargain book is a big media that we had to attract. And then the different radio stations, and then, of course, the agency fees for doing it. We did receive monies. My task was to collect the $90,000. And Walmart, HEB, the Board of Directors for Healthy Community came up with their portion. And then, is it BCIC? Yeah, BCIC gave us $15,000, and then we're coming up with an additional $12,000. So we're very close to our budget. If there was anything that we were going to have to cut out of this budget, was the radio spots, because we had no control over where the radios, when it was going to be advertised or what was going to happen. We could tell them what to say, but we didn't know if it was going to be 3 o'clock in the morning or when it was going to happen. So we went with, did I hit something wrong? Okay. So we went with the Brownsville Herald. That's okay. We went with the Brownsville Herald, and we have that running right now. We had a lot of help from Delina Barrera's department, and they came up with a new catchy slogan for us called "Make it a habit and grab it" for your reusable bag. We'll be using that in the city buses. This was designed by a lot of Delina's staff. Say goodbye to your plastic bags, make it a habit and grab it. and they were translated in Spanish also for us. We've had some banners that look like this. Say no to bolsas, say no to to this one, hágalo un hábito, tráigalo. And we kept, Delina wanted us to keep with the Keep Brownsville Beautiful mascot, which is a great idea, you know, so.
Gotta love the logo.
Huh?
You gotta love the logo.
Gotta love it. So anyway, and of course, then we did go back to the BYOB. So we're very proud of this. We had a lot of help with it. This will be on the buses. The heart, I love my green bag. So this will be on the buses. The buses was very generous to us. They actually charged us for one side of the bus, and they gave us the other side of the bus for free. And then we got some money. We got the money from BCIC to cover that. So we're progressing with that. We also have enlisted the UTB TSC students. In their curriculums, they've asked them to do community service, and they are still continuing to do silent surveys for us and going out and talking to merchants. And we have found that about 86 to 90% of the people that we talk or we approach are very aware of the ban on plastic bags, which I think is wonderful. I think we wanted to reach that. The little problem we're having is that people are not using their bags, and we don't know why. Art thought we had given out 80,000 bags. I think it's closer to probably 125, 150,000 bags.
Wait till they're forced to use it, then they'll use it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are saying that, yeah, I've got them, yeah, I'll take it, no problem. So we've stopped giving out bags because we've kind of saturated the city with them. And what we're giving out now are clings, or things you can put on your dashboard or when you open your door that say, don't forget your bag, BYOB. Those are being handed out by HEB and some of the other bigger box stores. And those seem to be working. We're still meeting every week. We have been told by our merchants that come to these meetings that probably after Thanksgiving, December, they hope to be very busy in their stores, so we're going to kind of slack off a little bit and then come back, maybe have one meeting in December and then come back to see about the enforcement of it. But it seems to be going very well. We've gotten some negative press, that's understandable, but we're living with it, and we just hope the city gets clean. We'll see what we have to tackle next year once the bags are out of everybody's way and go from there. Do y'all have any questions?
Rose, I just want to thank you and everybody involved with this. That's worked
You're
very
welcome.
hard to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's not just passing an ordinance, it's working to raise awareness and implement a plan, and it sounds like you got a good plan.
Yeah, we've got a good plan. We don't have the marketing program that, I know HEB had approached us, and their marketing plan was close to 150, 200,000, and they were going to help us with that. But it was out of San Antonio, and we just felt we had to go with a local person and go with what we needed. And like I said, Delina was a lot of help, and her staff, our marketing person, and the committee has felt very comfortable to come and say, no, I don't like that. Yes, I do like that. This is what we're hearing. This is what we're not hearing. So I think we'll see some great results in January and go from there.
Just add the banners are being rotated.
Oh, that's right. We actually have a banner person, and she's made it her job we have, I think, 8 banners throughout the city, and she rotates them every 6 or 7 weeks. Some of them are getting a little shabby, which they should be because they've been going up since, I want to say, the summer. But they're being rotated and put around in different parts of the city. We still have one at the flea market. They've been very cooperative. Just a lot of people are on board with this. If you go shopping, you'll know that people are ready for it. We'll just see what happens January. Right?
Commissioner?
I went to the TML conference this past week, and I went through that huge exhibit hall with all the vendors, and there was probably 20 different kind of reusable bags. When I mentioned that I was from Brownsville, lots of people asked about it. They knew about it.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I went to Walmart this past weekend to shop, and I usually go to HEB, I probably shouldn't say that. But I noticed that those roundy rounds, do they have plans to change those roundy rounds where they
Yes.
bag? Because she had a hard time putting my reusable bags on
Yeah.
that thing.
And that's one thing that we focused on last week with the committee, the Walmart and the Stripes and the HEB people, is their staff. Some of their staff is still just grabbing things and putting them in plastic bags. We're hoping that towards the middle of January, we have suggested to them that they open 2 or 3 lanes that are just for reusable bags.
And the staff was very wanted to help me,
Yeah.
but it was mechanically difficult for
Difficult
her
to
to
do that.
fit the bag
Right.
on that thing.
Yeah, they are. They're kind of hard to do.
If I can add something, Walmart is currently testing a bag in California that will actually fit in their existing mechanism. And while they have not officially made that statement for us, it could be something that they may bring to Brownsville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's happening. It's happening in other parts of the world. And you helped a lot in the downtown area. I think you took that on one Saturday and gave out a lot of.
Yeah, we've done 2 weekends rolls already, and we've
Good.
seen 800, 900 plastic bags come back. Later this month, right before Thanksgiving, the plan is to target evening shoppers from 3 on. So we've done the morning shoppers, but again,
Yeah.
that's a whole other segment of population that
Right.
we actually need to speak with. So
And that's
we'll be
something
working on
that, yeah, I think tomorrow we're going to be talking about what to do Wednesday before Thanksgiving
days,
at the
yeah.
HEBs, and then on Friday to see what we can do with the mall people, but we do need to hit them, and that would probably be our last giveaway of bags, our last push for it, and then we're just going to have to see what happens with the population.
Okay.
Oh, yes, Globo, we had not heard from them in a year, and they came to one meeting, and I was in charge of that meeting. And next day, there were signs all over. Their marquee says, "Bring reusable bags."
Yeah.
So
Good job.
they wanted to know what they could do, and I said, comply, because it's a done deal, as the mayor says. This is not going anywhere. So, and they did.
So thank you again,
You're
and thank all the sponsors that
Yes,
They're helping.
we've had some tremendous support, and not just from the big stores. We've had tremendous support from Lopez, from PUB's giving, everybody, I think, is giving out bags. It's a big, big deal in the city, so.
great.
Okay.
Thank you, Rose. Okay, item B.
Item B is progress report from Downtown Initiatives and the Entertainment District Public Improvement District.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is just to kind of keep you updated
Would you
on.
mind stating your name for the audience?
Ramiro Gonzalez with the Planning Department. This presentation is just to keep you updated on what's been going on in the past couple of months with downtown and the Public Improvement District. We've had about 3 serious interested investors, and they're going through the permit process as we speak. This building now looks like this. And this building will hopefully by the end of the year, well, it's going to have a facade improvement, a brick facade improvement. I had a picture. I don't know. It didn't come up, but
Who was the owner of the previous business? Who's the owner of the previous building?
this building is Juan Kenningstein. Juan Kenningstein. He owns fabric shops downtown, and actually, they're in the works of trying to put a new facade on the next one as well. So it's pretty exciting things going on. This one will soon also get a facelift. It'll probably just involve painting and outdoor dining as well.
That's a pretty building.
Yep. So he's gonna paint it and also put outdoor dining and tables and a kind of a restaurant in there as well. These are some pictures from the Latin Jazz Festival. We had probably about 500-600 people out there throughout the night. This is the way the buildings look at night. They actually kind of just glow, which is, and these is the amount of people that have been out there. I like this picture because it's at a pizza shop in the downtown area. So this was this past weekend. This actually covered, Latin Jazz Festival covered about half the block. This covered the whole block between 12th and 13th. And I don't know what the estimates are. The estimates are about 1,500 people throughout the night. But as you can see, you don't see the end of the people. You know, you just kind of see that stoplight back there. This is just another picture. I wanted to cover possible tax incentives for the district, for the downtown area. You know, there's a lot of details to be covered with these things, but these are two options that we can continue to research, which would be additional tax abatements for property owners that are non-historic, because we already have a non-historic tax or historic tax abatement, and sales tax rebates through Section 380 agreements, individual Section 380 agreements. These are some, you know, some tools that we can also use. You know, we're at a juncture where we need to find some sort of funding opportunities. And you know, these are some. There's just, you know, things to think about and maybe possibly pursue in the future. For the, at least in the PID progress, they've come up with a vision statement. So as you can read there, it's basically talking about eliminating the negative perception of downtown, organizing cultural and community events, and investing in infrastructure improvements and marketing campaigns to really change the dynamic of the downtown area. They've come up with a list of short-term goals, which is establish a nonprofit organization and also establish the PID, create a marketing strategy, develop monthly events, the Paint a Trash Can program. That's something that the details are still being kind of worked out, but we wanted to discuss with you on maybe doing, you know, the trash cans that are currently there, turning them in a positive light and creating some sort of public art out of them. So that's just kind of something that's been discussed with the committee. And trimming of the palm trees as well. Medium-term goals, this is 2 years or less. Perhaps the streetscape improvement, which means widening the sidewalk on one side maybe, to provide for sidewalk dining or some type of pedestrian-friendly environment. Obviously, improve security, that's a goal throughout. And continue to develop the marketing strategy, and, you know, the PID would have dedicated staff.
There's a question. There's a question.
No, you can finish. I didn't mean right this minute.
Go ahead.
And the PID continues its work. Me and the PID committee will be holding a public hearing with all the property owners, inviting all the property owners to discuss possible, you know, assessments and funding opportunities.
So that would be only for Adams Street?
Excuse me?
The assessment, the meetings of the assessment will be only for Adams Street?
Only Adams Street. And the property's boundary around Market Square. Also, they're also continuing to develop long-term goals. You know, those are a little harder because they're 3 years and above, and also develop management plans. These are just a couple of quotes that I found on a research. Basically, just highlighting the importance of a PID and actually creating a relationship to spark revitalization. These are, you know, there's 1,400 of them. You know, we're not reinventing the wheel. There's, you know, 61% of them are operated by nonprofits, and they're, you know, this is primarily what they're used for: consumer marketing, maintenance, capital improvements, security, and that's about it. The average budget is about $200,000. So these are some of the successful examples. Uptown Dallas, which is a really nice area. Downtown Austin, we all know what that is. The 6th Street in Austin as well. You can create multiple PIDs. And McAllen, heart of the city. These are some pictures from Austin. Once again, providing pedestrian, outdoor dining, and that's the presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you given any consideration to, are there any empty lots, abandoned lots in that area that could be turned into pocket parks, green spaces along the way?
Imagine Brownsville actually calls for a plaza to be created behind or right in front of the church. It's in this area. They're not empty; they're owned by people. A couple are empty, they have some buildings on them, but none are city owned.
If they're
If that's-
owned by a person, not the city, and they don't have plans to do anything with them, I would suggest that you approach them about making it a green space. Maybe there could be some tax advantage to beautifying that space instead of just leaving it ugly. My other question is whether there are any incentives built in for restaurants or businesses to have the possibility of bicycle parking, like those rails.
Yeah.
Or whether if a building has a green space area, like that one that you said was going to be a restaurant with a little fence around it, are there incentives or perks to them beautifying the green space as well as just the facade of the building? Do you follow me?
From an incentive perspective, there's no monetary incentive. I think they're going to beautify it just in general to bring people down there. From a bike rack perspective, our sidewalks are pretty narrow in this area. So it doesn't allow for I guess you could, but it'll block pedestrian traffic if you do put it on the sidewalk. And the issue with the downtown buildings is they cover the whole property. Most of the buildings down here, the property is 50 by 120. They covered every inch with a foundation and a building.
Well, assuming that you could take one parking space outside the building and design it just for bicycles. I mean, there's ways to get around
Yeah.
that. I'm just saying that the walkability or the pedestrian-friendly alternative traffic accessibility of the downtown area is important.
Of course.
And if there are points accrued or some sort of incentives that can be built into the people that are redoing these places, I think that should be something, just like we would incentivize or encourage them to build green.
Yeah.
The same thing would be whether people that are walking or bike riding to their establishment can get there and use it, or do they always have to drive a car?
Yeah. No,
And we saw, Commissioner,
I'm
that,
sorry.
over the weekend, that walking wasn't an issue. Being on Adams Street this past weekend, you saw at least close to 1,500 people. They parked all over the place. So we know walking isn't a problem. It's
Yes.
just, it's just when you're going to have these events, and we think they'll be more frequent, it'll happen. But I agree. I think, having some sort of bike racks, that sort of thing. I know it's really tough to kind of squeeze that in there, but the more events that'll be done outside, it probably makes sense. The other thing, Ramiro, I'd like to add to that is considering putting some receptacles. I know we talked. You've had the idea of the paint a can. And I'm not sure if many downtowns do this or not, but look at receptacles for recycling, and maybe making our downtown different from others in that sense. Besides the facade and it being historic and so forth, but if we also add that green component to whether it's the park, but also possibly recycling containers that can again be placed around the entertainment district.
Well, I think the quick fix to that is probably taking a couple of these trash cans now and actually labeling them, painting them green or some sort of, what that idea was really to take the trash can that we have now and really create, get artists or whatnot to paint some sort of picture or theme. You got to create a theme as well so that the artist can develop into these.
Right.
But that's still in the work. It's just an
The-
idea.
There are cities, I think Austin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Ben knows as well, that have built in to their building codes, isn't it called the LEED
Mhm.
system of
Green building?
points? So you get points for having a bike rack, you get points for planting a tree, you get points for solar tinted windows, et cetera, et cetera. So as people are buying these properties and renovating them, I think you should be looking at that type of a approach when someone wants to do that.
Okay.
Commissioner
We'll definitely
Gowan,
take it back and discuss it.
Commissioner Gowan, we have changed the look of some of the parking lots we have on Adams Street. Some of them close by to where these businesses are gonna open up. So we can introduce the idea of parking bicycle racks and things like that within our own parking lot areas.
I'm
That's
just
an
saying
idea.
you should involve the owner of the building
Yeah.
so that they become engaged in participating, not just the city.
Yeah.
Right.
No. We'll take
Yeah,
that.
a lot of
in.
the parking that's gonna be utilized is they're gonna depend on our parking as well, so we can work with them on that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ramiro. Next item.
Item C, discussion regarding the West Morrison Road Public Improvement District.
Good afternoon. In April of this year, we had presented to the City Commission an agreement which the City Commission approved. It was a public-private partnership between the city and West Morrison owners, which allowed for the development of West Morrison Road. One of the conditions of that agreement was that West Morrison owners qualify as a 501c3 corporation, okay? And because of the requirements on a 501c3, they were unable to do that. So we went back to the drawing table to try to reform this thing in a way that we could legally accomplish the goals that the city had wanted to accomplish. In doing that, the idea that came about was to create a public improvement district around Morrison Road and to allow Morrison owners, the Morrison owners PID, to do assessments for the value of any money that the city advanced. Negotiating this thing with the group, there were some really important things that came about. One of them is that the total project cost of $2 million dropped to the city's share dropped to $1.7 million instead of $2 million. And basically, the city would put down $1.7 million. The owners would advance $1 million. And the $700,000 would be recouped, advanced, but then recouped through assessments by the PID. All right? So in other words, it would come out to be a 50-50 deal. The city's investment would be protected, doubly protected in two ways. One is the city's advance of $700,000 would be protected through assessments on the property, okay, which are basically liens that are placed on the property. In addition, the city has negotiated and Morrison Owners has agreed to provide a guarantee and indemnity agreement where the corporation itself, in the event that the assessment was not repaid to the city, the corporation would also be responsible to pay that money back. So we do not have before you the actual agreement. That would be something that we would present to the City Commission at the next meeting. But what we want to do is we want to present the need for the creation of the public improvement district so we could have a workshop on that. And we could also have the first hearing on the creation of the public improvement district. The actual details in terms of the contract, the economic development contract between the city and the public improvement district, which would be something that would be presented at the next meeting of the City Commission. So
Mark, is this up for an action item this evening?
It is on for action, but we're not going to ask the city for any
And I was
action.
going to say if we could postpone that.
What I would ask is that the meeting on the public improvement district be continued because it requires two hearings anyway, and that any action on this take place at the next meeting. And that would give the City Commission a workshop, this meeting, and also the next meeting to be familiar with all the details so it can make an informed decision. In addition, at the end of the meeting today, I'm going to provide the City Commission with working drafts of the documents. These aren't final documents, and they're not for your consideration today, but simply for information purposes. So you can be aware of what we're trying to negotiate, what we're trying to do, so you can make an informed decision at the next meeting, okay? Mr. Carlos Lastra with the City Engineers is going to present, do a short PowerPoint as part of this workshop as to what we're trying to accomplish in terms of the formation of the Public Improvement District.
Thank you.
Okay.
Honorable Commissioners, good evening. Morrison Road is a project that's been in the works for many years. We've been working really hard to get this done. And basically it's going to provide an alternative east-west major arterial in northwest section of Brownsville. This should provide congestion relief for FM 3248, Alton Glore. And it should spark commercial and residential development between Expressway and Alton Glore. It's designed for traffic volume for 20 years in the future. It's composed of 2 lanes with shoulders in each direction from the expressway all the way to Alton Glore. It's going to have curb and gutter and storm sewer drainage. It'll also have raised medians between in opposing lanes of traffic. That's a typical cross-section, two 12-foot lanes, a median. And this is the overall project from the expressway all the way to Alton Glore. There's a lot of land between there that's not developed, which should be developed by this. Here's a photograph of the existing West Morrison Road at Alton Glore. There's a section to build. This will be improved. This is the existing West Morrison Road by Home Depot, looking towards the expressway. Future cross streets will be added for undeveloped areas. Driveway access will be allowed as per driveway access policy. The design incorporates a raised median, which provides additional safety, provides a more scenic roadway and green space, and restricts some access for left turns. And these are the numbers that Mr. Sassi mentioned about regarding the construction cost of this project. That concludes the presentation. If you have any questions.
Questions? Questions?
I just want to add, this is a very, very important project. And Charlie, I know we spoke about this earlier, and I've met with a few of the developers of the other group, and, I hope we can make this all happen at their next commission meeting because, and I know you all get the same calls from residents and business owners and those and residents that are shopping or trying to get to their residents, but this is a major artery that needs to be open. It does.
Right.
And so I hope that we'll be able to get this done because it's not going to happen through TxDOT. The East Morrison was a God's gift, and we're very fortunate to have that and have TxDOT fund it. But this is something that would have to wait years, many years. So I can't wait to see this project happen.
Yeah, and just to clarify, this is the portion that begins on the frontage road, where the AT&T, where the Morrison crossings are located, where the temporary barriers are now placed, which is something we want to remove. That'll be addressed with this project. Onto the church that's located on Morrison Road, beyond the tracks, and onto West Morrison and West Alton Glory. Some of the things we're addressing are the issues of the tracks, the crossing, things like that, and also the fact that TxDOT has agreed to install the traffic lights at Alton Glory and Morrison, which is saving us some of the funding sources we need for this project. If you've seen the Morrison crossings, that place has booming. That place, there's a lot of interest in commercial development. As we speak, they're building another restaurant there. McDonald's is going to build there, and there's more demand for that area. So we need relief for traffic, not only in Alton Glory, but access points for that traffic that goes and visits that location to exit and utilize Morrison Road to get onto Alton Glory, all the people that live on the west side of the city.
Charlie, one question. You were talking about the old business 77 that's right there as well.
Right. Yes, sir.
Do we have a proposal on how that's going to be fixed? Is that going to be presented at the
Yes,
next
all
meeting?
the engineering has been done for this project, so yeah, there is plans as to how we're going to address that.
Can we see that next time?
And yes, sir, and there'll be medians and things like that installed there.
Thank you.
And that's a very touchy intersections that we have to really be showing a lot of precaution for due to public safety traffic concerns.
Thank you.
Charlie, also another proposed part of the agreement that's going to be also attached to the document is the expansion of Laredo Road. If all goes well, we're also going to see Laredo Road be completed. Right now, you hit a dead-end stop and that's it.
Right.
So although that's separate from this, that too is also going to be part of the agreement, and that again is going to be a major, major assistance for everybody who lives on that part of town.
Correct. Ma'am?
Commissioner Zamora?
Have we approached BEDC or GBIC? Have there been any discussions about them possibly being utilized as a funding source to complement our efforts?
A few years ago, we obtained a bond for Morrison Road, the total sum of Morrison Road, and we utilized approximately half of it on the east side. We do have funding for the west side, and that's important. That's why it's important for us to work with someone. We don't have the total amount of money, and that's the reason we started negotiating this with the developers and people that are interested in developing the 100 or so acres that are behind the Morrison Road crossing areas. Yes, we have had communications with BDC and GBIC, but we are in communications with them for a lot of projects. So if we can relieve them of responsibility for some projects and them helping us in other parts of the city, as you know, we've visited locations where we are asking for help. It seems like we're in need of assistance in traffic issues and road construction in a lot of parts of the city. So all that's being addressed with them, and identifying the location that they're going to help us in is there. But for now, we do have a viable agreement with these people that we can get this done as East Morrison is being done as well, so we can have the total sum of this Morrison Road done.
Charlie, I hope we can prioritize, depending on whatever funding comes through GBIG, when you look at the projects and the commitment that GBIG has made to the city for the airport and seeing that development occur, but also when you mentioned, the industrial park along 802 in that area and seeing those areas
Right.
maintained, I agree. I hope we can focus on those key areas that, they need immediate help. And versus these other areas where we know that we've had monies allocated. So how we can
Right.
prioritize.
That's correct, Commissioner, and obviously, we did a downtown revitalization project, and they're involved in that as well, so we're just trying to find funding sources to assist us in various projects. This is just one of them, but that's, you're correct in that. Thank you.
Okay, moving along. Item D.
Item D, report on cycling for recycling.
I'm Mike Frazier, the president of Sunrise Rotary in Brownsville, and this is
I'm Roberto Valencia. I'm president of Historic Brownsville Rotary Club.
our project concerns the 4 Rotary clubs in Brownsville and the Port Isabel Rotary Club, and we're tying our project into the first item that y'all had here, the recycling of bags, or actually the banning of the plastic bags. And we're trying to get the recycling kicked up again one more notch in the city of Brownsville, which has been kind of lagging behind a lot of areas. And I think it's going to all tie in. We're expecting about 400 cyclists to come into town on December the 4th. And it's going to come in, we timed it to where it would come in not only before the banning of the plastic bag event on January 1st, but also during the holiday season. So hopefully that their support staff of these 400 cyclists will spend some money in our town also during the holiday season. And we've had great participation and from Chris Patterson as far as using the sports park. And we've had all the expenses picked up on this. As you see, there's lots of expenses with other things that you talked about. Our event will not be costing the city of Brownsville anything. We're self-funded by the Rotary Foundation, and we're working under 501c3. And I'll let Roberto talk about the city of Port Isabel, who's also in on this, and we've already talked to them about it. And he'll tell you more or less real quick, like, because we're running behind time, about the cycling event and how far it is and where it goes to, and the people in Port Isabel.
Thank you. The main thing on this event is to continue supporting the recycling on the city, trying to get more people involved to support projects as the Healthy Community of Brownsville is doing in the town. Our Rotary Club supports recycling. We get bins, but we need more support from the city. So in that, I think with that type of events, we can get your support to finally get this project on to the city can recycle and help us help the city of Brownsville to do it. We talked with the city of with Joe Vega, the mayor from and Port Isabel. They give us his blessing. We're gonna have 2 routes. We're gonna start here in the sports park. We're going to Port Isabel. We're going to stop by the high school. We have a second route starting there and finish up in the sports park again. We're going to have bins from the Port of Isabel. They're going to have bins for recycling. We're asking all the people who's going to ride to bring their own recyclables, just as a sign to support the project. And we're asking the city of Brownsville if you can help us with the bins, and I guess we already have the blessing on that too. And that's mainly that's going to be it. We want to explain, and we're going to have an interview in Channel 5 to explain the recycling program that they have in Port Isabel, and I know we can have some explanation from you two, from City of Brownsville, how we're going to approach these recycling projects in the future, and that's mainly it.
Mr. Valencia, Evelyn's been meeting with Key Brownsville Beautiful for the past couple of weeks, and so she brought this to us, and we're very excited to help. The City of Brownsville is always going to participate and help with other nonprofit organizations that want to recycle or do any other type of event. So we look forward to it. December the 4th, we'll be there, and hopefully we can make this an annual event, and we look forward to supporting the Rotary as much as we can. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go into the regular session. Y'all want to take a 5-minute break before we start? Or you want to go on? Ready to go? Okay. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one nation.
We have a centennial celebration of Central Christian Church and its existence, and Pastor Lance Hostetter will be leading us in the prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We were looking at some old videos the other day. In 1993, you were at the groundbreaking for the building we're in now. So
I don't like the reference of old.
That's 17 years ago, I believe. But I would like to give all of you an invitation. Will you join me in prayer? Father God, we just humbly bow before your presence, and we ask your blessing upon this governing body. We pray for integrity, honesty, courage, and wisdom. We ask that at the end of the day, we will be true to our calling and our country and to you. We pray that your hand will be upon this city and that you help us to work together to make this a better home for all who live and or visit here. We ask that you grant safety to all of our law enforcement and emergency personnel as they protect and provide for us each day. We ask a blessing and a prayer upon those serving our country and protecting our freedoms. And now, Lord, we pray for our neighbors in Mexico and for peace for them. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you.
I think that's one of the nicest prayers we've had up here, Pastor. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. And I'll be there. If I was there when you broke ground, I'll be there. Thank you. Okay. The mayor's report. I haven't even had time to collect my thoughts to give you a report, but I'll be very brief. We got the Charles Stillman Bicentennial celebration Thursday. I think we got 40 tables sold. We're taking care of the details. It's going to be held at the Amigo Land Convention Center, which is a former Toys R Us. And I want to thank the sponsors for making this possible. There are some tickets being sold to defer some of the costs. It's $20 per ticket or $200 per table, table of 10. The evening is about Charles Stillman bicentennial. He would be 200 years old, November 4th. He was born November 4th, 1853. I'm sorry. November 4th, 1810. And we're celebrating his 200th birthday and his legacy. His descendants, some of his descendants will be there. We'll be honoring them, and we'll be honoring the footprint he has left, which is what Brownsville is today. The celebration will start with a time capsule being buried at Stillman Elementary in conjunction with BISD. Everybody's invited. It's going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning at Stillman Elementary. The time capsule is going to be open in on February 7th, 2053, when the city of Brownsville celebrates its bicentennial. And I hope my grandson will be there representing me, because I won't be there, but hopefully he'll be there. So the public entities were asked to put what their vision is for the city of Brownsville or their entity in 40 years. And at that time, in 2053, when they come together, we'll see if we good fortune tellers or not. But it's a collaborative effort with all the entities in the community, and that's going to be fun. Then it will follow in the evening with a dinner at the convention center, where you'll have a great meal, great entertainment. You're going to have a concert pianist, Jose Angel Mendez, who will be playing Chopin and some classical music, a tango, and other pieces. You will have marimba. You will have the group La Misión. You will have a charro roping performance, which is part of our culture. And of course, we'll have the birthday cake, and we'll have fireworks. It's going to be fireworks that was donated. There's going to be fireworks. That'll be a treat also. So it's going to be a fun evening. Hopefully, everybody will join us and make an effort to go. Tickets are going, so please, if you need a ticket, go to the Brownsville Convention Visitors Bureau, the Stillman Museum, the Brownsville Museum of Fine Arts, or call the city here, and we'll make arrangements that you get tickets, or you can get tickets at the door. Preferably buy your ticket before then, so we have a good head count. The travel advisory alert to Mexico is that I issued some time back is still in place. A Porter student, 15-year-old little girl, disappeared. She went to visit her father, and we don't know what's happened to her. The parents are very distraught and very concerned for that little girl. If you go to Mexico, you take every precaution that you can, but try to avoid going over there. I hate to say that, but the way things are, it's not good to put yourself at risk if you don't need to. There are difficult times, but hopefully we'll get through them and things will get better. So based on that, I just want to mention those two things, and hopefully people will join us at the Charles Stillman Bicentennial. Let's see, let's go to the other report here by Commissioner Atkinson, who's not here. If he comes in, we can come back to it. Commissioner Camarillo, if you'll give us a report.
Just give a brief update, Mayor. Last week I met with the Laurel Grande Development Council, and we basically, one of the major actions that the board has taken was selecting a firm to help with the $107 million recovery funds for Hurricane Dolly. That impacts Hidalgo and Cameron County. So the process is moving to have those funds used to work on the projects that are needed from the Hurricane Dolly. It's pretty after the fact, but $107 million is significant, and we'll hopefully be able to fix some of the areas that are still lacking due to the hurricane. We're also going to hopefully outline. We're hopefully going to propose a rating system or some sort of a matrix that the COG can use when it comes to future committees that need to award funds for, whether it's for drainage or for whatever study. There seems to have been an issue at our last meeting with how the process is and the number of questions and so forth. So that was a suggestion that's been made, and hopefully we'll get that addressed for future projects. 2 weeks ago, we participated in Make a Difference Day. As I informed the commission a while back, this was an event to bring out students to go and participate in Clean Up Bronzo. We had nearly about 900 plus students that came out and either covered graffiti or picked up trash at various parks and areas around Bronzo. I want to thank all the students that came out on that Saturday morning to clean up the city. We couldn't have done it without their help. I want to thank Dr. Falk for his leadership and the guidance that he gave to the whole process, as well as Jeff Johnson, Chris Patterson, Hawk, and Shannon, and all of their efforts that they gave over the past month or so to kind of get us to that point. So it all went very well. The sites were cleaned. They're looking a lot more beautiful, and it's all because of all those volunteers. So I really appreciate the students, and hopefully they can make this a semesterly event. Last thing I did about a week ago, I informed you all the Keep Bronzo Beautiful was awarded a HEB Green Bag grant in the amount of $3,000. We submitted 4 grants. We were awarded 1. Very proud of our volunteers, Hilario and Jose Roberto. Hilario had written this grant, and it basically calls for to recycle crayons. And the recycled crayons will be given to, we talked about Monica's house for the kids. We also talked about giving them to daycares and other possible entities that may need crayons. So we're going to partner with in Cardinal Ward Academy. We're also partnering with BISD to take in broken crayons and melt them, and then you form a new crayon. So it's a great project. We look forward to kicking it off real soon. We appreciate HEB's commitment to keep Texas beautiful, but also to Bronzo. Really do appreciate their help. Next weekend is Texas Recycle Days, and so KBB is going to kick off its event with a actual recycling initiative. We're asking the citizens of Bronzo, BISD schools, private schools, whomever, to bring recyclables to Lincoln Park. We'll be there from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We will have large containers to take paper, plastic, aluminum, tin, cell phones, batteries, cardboard. Drive up, we'll unload it for you, and at the end of the day, hopefully we'll be able to weigh how much was collected of each material, and then hopefully we'll receive something for that from the company that's going to take it off our hands. This is a big program for KBB. This is probably one of the largest events that we'd have before the end of the year to write the Governor's Achievement Award, which is due in December. So we're asking for the community to come out. We're asking for the city departments to get involved. I appreciate Charlie's email to city staff. We're going to have bins and containers available throughout City Hall, other city departments, so that everybody can come and bring their own part, whatever they might want to throw away, save it. Any one of those items that I just mentioned, we'll most definitely take them off their hands. A flyer will go on Channel 12, and everybody will be reminded of what are the items that we're asking for residents and people to kind of bring by. So again, Texas Recycle Day, November the 13th, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll take place at Lincoln Park. Anybody wishing to volunteer is more than welcome to come and assist us that morning. That concludes my report.
Okay, Commissioner Gowan?
I'd like to thank Healthy Communities and Parks and Rec, as well as the School of Public Health, for the opening of the free playground, which is next door or right behind the Parks and Rec's building on 7th Street. Near Linear Park. This Saturday, in celebration of Halloween, children were invited from all over the city to come and play on the free playground. And after they played, they were able to get a free pumpkin, thanks to Healthy Communities and their helpers, and decorate it. And there was a great number of children having a really good time down there. It is important to remind everyone that the free playground was a playground that Brownsville was awarded for free. And that was because of funds from the Texas Department of Health, as well as the United States-Mexican Border Health Commission, who are looking for ways to make sure that our children in Hispanic communities along the border remain and become more active in an effort to reduce obesity. And we were awarded that grant because of the hard work and skill of the city grant writers in collaboration with the School of Public Health. We hope to see more of those. The official opening will be pretty soon. I believe they're waiting for some permanent fencing to go in shortly. I'd also like to say I very much enjoyed attending the TML conference this past week with Commissioners Zamora and Atkinson and Longoria. Brownsville was very fortunate to have been recognized for a Spirit Award. Did we bring the award? Do we have the award? This Spirit Award was awarded because of several projects that Brownsville has done. One was the expansion of the recycling center. The other was changing LED lighting in the traffic lights, I believe it was. Did I get that right? The third was the intramural play, or rather competition within the city staff to improve their levels of activity, and this is the award. And the fourth was the Biggest Loser contest, which we entered in collaboration with the School of Public Health to raise awareness and reduce obesity in our community. That was held this past spring, in which over 1,000 pounds were lost within Brownsville that we know of. We were recognized. There were very many other good ideas in other communities that we are going to look into and try and emulate and design and build on the ones that we've had. And the next second annual Biggest Loser competition will be beginning in January, and I'll have more information on that to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gowan. Commissioner Longoria is not here. Okay, proclamations. Father Matthew, did somebody notify him, or is this going to be done? I think it's going to be done at his event.
They were notified by Bill Young.
Pardon me?
They were notified by Bill Young.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be presented over there.
Okay.
Okay, the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Dr. Gowan? This is under your name?
Is there anybody receive it?
I'm sorry?
Is there a representative receive it?
Yes, from
I
Friendship.
think so. Mhm. Ready? Okay. This is a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville designating October 2010 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in our city. Whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month evolved from the first day of unity observed on the first Monday of October 1981 by the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence for the purpose of joining battered women's advocates across the nation working to end violence against women and their children. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy and dignity, security, and humanity due to systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse, including abuse to children and the elderly. And whereas family violence statistics in Texas for the year of 2009 recorded 193,505 incidents of family violence against a current or former spouse or intimate partner. 111 women were killed in Texas by an intimate partner, none of which were from Brownsville, where the police department did investigate 442 family violence cases and received 1,981 calls reporting family violence. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole in this community throughout the United States and the world. And whereas the Friendship of Women Incorporated provides a safe place and supportive services to victims of family violence, sexual assault, and their families, and also works towards ending the cycle of violence by raising awareness, education, and prevention in our community. And whereas in order for change to occur and to prevent family violence from occurring in the first place, all citizens of Brownsville must take the initiative to get educated and get involved in their community, to take a firm stand and help end domestic violence as well as all other forms of injustice, knowing that doing so will increase the safety and well-being of our entire state, because the only way for Texas to be safe is if all Texans are secure. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city and on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby declare October 2010 to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and further urge all of our citizens to make themselves aware of the problem of domestic violence and to work to end it. Done this second day of November 2010,
Mayor Pat Amada, and all of the City Commission.
Thank you, and on behalf from our Board of Directors and our Executive Director, Lily Champion, thank you, Mayor and City Commissioners, for recognizing Domestic Violence Awareness Month for October 2010. And thank you for supporting our agency for continuing to serve as for the victims of family violence and sexual assault. Thank you so much. Thank you.
The next one will also be presented Thursday at the Charles Tillman Bicentennial Celebration. Employee of the Month.
Mayor, members of the commission, in the spirit of health, help me welcome our Employee of the Month for November, Beulah Mendez, assigned to the Health Department. Oh, right here, with me.
Oh, sorry.
Beulah has been with the City of Brownsville for 19 years. She began her career with the City Attorney's Office, spent many years there before she moved on to the City Secretary's Office, and then now, of course, her current assignment with the Department of Health. In talking to all the people who work with her, the thing we say about her, she's got a determination to succeed. And we take full advantage of the fact that she's got so much experience in working with these departments that we utilize her for many responsibilities. And most recently, she was an integral part of the Border Binational Health Council's event, the 7th Annual Border Health Week inauguration ceremony, and contributed much to the overall success of that event. And of course, we worked with states and the Republic of Mexico in that event that was hosted here in Brownsville, which was quite an honor for us. She's also assigned to the advisory committee and does a lot of the assistance with that, and also keeps the environmental committee up to date on all the activities. Understanding that she's a legal secretary, works with the city attorney's office, so she also works very closely with our city attorney's office in relation to responsibilities the health department has, for example, weedy lots and things like that, and assures that all that paperwork and documentation is done properly. So we're very proud of her. I'm proud of the fact that I've known her for a very long time, since I was a police officer. And of course, as Employee of the Month for November, which is one employee away from having the 12, she is considered for Employee of the Year at our banquet, which will be held next month. It's amazing, but it's almost time for our banquet in December. So congratulations, Beulah.
Thank you.
And of course, she gets what we've been giving out this year, a watch to tell legal time,
That's right.
the pin, and the plaque. Beulah Mendez of the Health Department for the month of November 2010 in recognition of the outstanding services to the residents of the city of Brownsville.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Beulah. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. I've been working for this company for a very long time. I know the mayor from a very long time ago. I get to see some of the commissioners with part of my work, and I just really love what I do for this company. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Beulah.
Beulah.
It's really hard work.
Great to have you here. Okay, Rodolfo Cámara, Office of the Governor of Coahuila, Mexico, is here to present a humanitarian aid received. He's going to present it to me. I'll receive it on behalf of the citizens of Brownsville. Pastor Brad Burke, are you here? Come forward. And I'm going to mention a few other names here, and correct me if I leave somebody out. Pastor Bob Clark, the board of Team Ministries, Baldomero Trevino, Mr. Baca, and I don't know who else is on the board there. HEB, a gentleman from San Antonio, Mike, what was his name? Do you remember? I forget his name, okay, and I apologize. Mike, I didn't know this was coming up. He helped us secure trailers and trailer loads of water to send to people in need in Mexico during the hurricane and flooding. Anchor Jensen here, locally also, who put us in contact with those people. Rodolfo?
Valley Trucking.
Valley Trucking, yes, they help us.
Also the Circle K Club from the university.
Circle K, yes. And HEB, like I said, I mean, the humanitarian effort, I think was unprecedented for Brownsville, and Brownsville needs to be very proud of what we did. A lot of people don't know what we did, but in time of need, we responded to those who were displaced, who had no home, who had no water, who had no food, and we got them goods and water and did it, with the help of the pastor here and everybody else as quickly as possible, and gave them some relief. And the governor himself, through Rodolfo Camara, requested from my office to see what we could do for them. And it's just very moving when you can pick up the phone and call somebody like HEB and they get a trailer load of goods over there overnight. I mean, it's just very moving that this country, it's a giving country. It's great people who have a heart and are there to help their neighbors.
Also, Pastor Bobby Crow in Cedar Victoria.
Pastor Bobby Crow, okay.
And then a lot of the pastors here, as well as congregations, also
Came together. So, I mean, I want to thank everybody, and I'm not leaving anybody intentionally out, but all who participated in this relief effort on behalf of the city of Brownsville. I want to receive this award. Go ahead. Síguele, Rodolfo.
Okay. My governor, Humberto Moreira, from the Coahuila State, sent to you and the city of Brownsville and all the persons that helped us when the Hurricane Alex, when we asked for help, the city of Brownsville and Padre Ahumada helped us immediately. And my governor sent you a lot of thanks for this. And sent Venustiano Carranza, that is Baron of Cuatro Ciénegas, is our browser for our independence and the constitutions. And we know that we will celebrate your bicentennial. In Mexico, we had celebrated our bicentennial, and Venustiano Carranza is for statues for you and the city of Brownsville.
Total, there were like 25 trailer loads of goods. That's pretty good. Maybe a little more. Thank you. Okay. Gracias, Rodolfo. Item 5.
Item 5, consent agenda items A through H.
Move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item, public hearings.
Item 6, public hearing and action on resolution number 2010-084 to accept a petition establishing the West Morrison Road Public Improvement District.
This is the first public hearing on the establishment of a public improvement district for Morrison Road. I think it's important to keep certain things in mind. First of all, of the $5 million in bond money that was obtained by the city, there's approximately $2.4 million left that the city has to spend on the West Morrison Road project. Of that $2.4 million, the city's actual contribution is only going to be $1.7 million. So there's going to be a lot of money left over under this agreement because the landowners have agreed to come in and put 50% up on the project. I thought it was very important that the taxpayers be protected and that this be a true 50-50 deal. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to provide you with a copy of a guarantee and the agreement of indemnity.
And this is a draft, correct?
Thank you.
This is the draft document that you were talking about?
This is one of 2 draft documents. And again, that's not for your action, but I want the commission to understand that the city staff is taking steps to protect any monies which are advanced on this project. The $700,000, which is approximate $700,000, which we envision asking the commission at the next meeting to authorize as part of this agreement to advance, will be protected 2 ways, not just one. One, it will be protected in terms of assessments. The PID will conduct assessments of approximately $700,000, and it will be based on a per square foot, per linear foot on the road calculation. So an assessment will be done on the properties bordering the road, and the assessment must be paid back within 7 years. In the event the assessment is not paid back within 7 years, we have an additional contractual agreement that we're going to ask the Morrison owners, and they have agreed to sign, guaranteeing as a corporation that they will pay that money back if the landowners don't. But I mean, it's pretty much the same individuals because most of the landowners are the owners who are involved in the development of this project. So this is only the first hearing on the public improvement district. But I just wanted to give the commission an idea of what we're doing. In April, we had originally agreed to contract with the Morrison Owners, Inc. Because of legalities, we were not able to go forward with that, or they were not able to go forward with that because they could not qualify as a 501c3, and that created a problem when we were advancing money to a private corporation. So what we were talking about doing is creating a public improvement district, and therefore we won't, because it's a public entity, not a private entity, we're not going to have the same problems, same legal problems that we would if we were contracting with a purely private entity. So I'm not asking the commission to take any action whatsoever at this time, just to continue the public hearing until the next meeting. And at that time, we would ask the commission to approve the creation of the public improvement district, to appoint members to a public improvement district board, okay, and to approve the agreements. But you're going to have 2 weeks, 2 weeks to look at them before agreeing to them. Okay.
Move to continue.
Second.
We have a motion to continue in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.
Item 7, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2010-1536 to amend Chapter 70, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provisions of the Brownsville Code of Ordinances by adding Article 5, Sex Offender Residency, Loitering, and Meeting Regulation.
Mayor, if I may, I just want to give just a brief overview in regards to this ordinance. Back in June, I had met with Chief Garcia from BISD and some of his staff, and basically what they were proposing was they wanted the city to do something in regards to sex offenders, and if we had an ordinance. And so I'd asked Allison, we started working together and researching, and it came up that the city had no ordinances regarding, sex offenders. And what do they do if they live so many feet close to a school? What do they do if they want to go see, go to an event on a campus? Therefore, we said we'd work with BISD to create a ordinance that would help BISD and help the city. So Allison has created that, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of background because I do appreciate BIC's help in helping us do something that I believe is very, very important, and I know you all do too, because again, it's for the safety of our children.
You took the lead on this, Commissioner?
I worked with Allison and BISD. They approached me on it, and I said I thought it was something that could be doable. I originally thought we could do it in August, but it didn't work out. Here we are in November. But I know we had some issues that we had to kind of work through, and wanted to make sure that whatever ordinance got adopted, it was a solid one, and that would work for BISD. So I know we have some BISD representatives, if they want to stand up or come forward, and I really do appreciate their help because they brought this to the table.
Well, whoever took the lead on this, I commend you for it because it is needed. Thank you very much for whoever took the lead on this. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we thank you for your support in this city ordinance. This would definitely provide law enforcement some enforcement authority in dealing with situations when we deal with sex offenders. If we could spare at least one child from becoming a victim, this ordinance will have served its purpose. So again, thank you.
No, thank you. You would like to say something, Officer?
Allison?
No? Allison? Don't trip over yourself.
This is, we really will appreciate your support in this ordinance. We can only do so much as law enforcement officers, not just as BISD law enforcement, but even the city of Brownsville. They can only do so much. And we would greatly, greatly appreciate it if you could help us out in passing this ordinance.
You got it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do, Officer.
Allison, you want to go over the ordinance just to
It's
brief?
It's minimizing the risk to our children, and I commend you all for doing that.
Yeah, let me just go over some of the main points in this ordinance. This, of course, is an ordinance we don't have. It regulates a few things regarding habitual sex offenders and child sex offenders. Number one, it prohibits temporary or permanent residency of any such offender within 1,000 feet of what we define in this ordinance as a place where children commonly gather. That includes a school, public parks, churches, party houses, and amusement arcades. This ordinance also prohibits the renting of a permanent or temporary resident to any such sexual offender within 1,000 feet of those areas. The third thing it does is it permits the knowing loitering by a sexual offender within 300 feet of a bus shelter because, kids take the bus a lot. Finally, it prohibits any gathering or meetings of sexual offenders, say those required by their parole officers, to take place within 1,000 feet of a place where children commonly gather. I'll add that this ordinance is not retroactive. No registered sex offender who currently lives within 1,000 feet of any prohibited area will have to move. And also, if a school or a park or any such restricted area within the 1,000-foot limit is established within 1,000 feet of where a sex offender currently lives, they won't have to move. So it's not retroactive. It just provides a little bit of a barrier to help, as the BISD police alluded to, provide a little more protection, I suppose, for the children in our community.
Did this follow the guidelines for registered sex offenders put down by the state, such as parole and the other requirements? Because a lot of the requirements are very similar.
Well, one thing it does do is it does provide some requirements that pertain to those sex offenders who are required to register. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Well, sure. There are registration requirements for sex offenders, and if someone has been sent to TDC as a result of that, they're then going to have various regulations by their parole officer, etc. And I'm asking, did you look at those requirements to see if we're more restrictive or less restrictive than what's required by the state of Texas?
Basically, what I did is I took a look at what other cities did.
Okay.
And I took a look at San Antonio, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston, and I kind of used a lot of language from those. And I tried to make it kind of similar to what's being done in other cities.
And then what about the requirement as far as the use of the bus system? Are we saying that they're not to use the bus system, or are we simply saying that they're not to loiter?
it's loitering, just loitering, within 300 feet of a bus shelter.
Thank you.
This is going to put the burden on landlords to make sure they screen potential tenants that may be sex offenders.
Well, is there a requirement, if the landlord does not screen, is there going to be a penalty to the landlord?
Yeah, one of the prohibitions is to rent to a permanent or temporary sexual offender, so I suppose a background check will be warranted.
So what is the penalty to the landowner that does not have a background check?
That will be covered, I suppose, through Chapter 113 of the code, which is between $200 and $5,000.
What I would do, if I may continue with this, what I would do, I would raise awareness that the landowner at least get some kind of application of each potential tenant that they fill out, to where they have to put a checkbox there saying they have not been arrested or convicted of any sexual offense against a minor or something like that. They're not registered sex offenders. That way, at least the landlord has some kind of documentation that he did make an effort to find out whether, because he's not law enforcement, he doesn't have the resources to do the background check. But this puts the applicant the burden on him to disclose, okay?
Well, they're
And if he
required by
does-
law to.
May I
They are.
finish? If he doesn't disclose, you know, the parole officer also has an obligation to monitor him where he's living, if he's not complying with his requirements, because the parole officers here should know what we're passing as an ordinance, okay? But there should be some, what I would say, a reasonable effort made to do a background check. But they don't have the resources or the expertise to where, I think, to find somebody 5,000, if they made a reasonable effort, I don't think that's fair. But if they made a reasonable effort, like checking a box, calling PD or calling, I guess, where sexual offenders register to find out if that person is registered, I think that will relieve the burden on the landlord.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. You know, we'll take a look at that. If,
Yeah,
you know, if
you
we need
One of
to
my-
amend the language, we certainly can do that as well.
Mr. Mayor, what we could do is we could put a section there that would be affirmative defense to a landlord if they made a reasonable inquiry of the tenant and the tenant misrepresented his status.
Isn't there some place that a landlord can call to find out?
I think
From
there's
the
a
state,
sex offender
if they're-
database.
Yeah,
I'm
There's a
sorry?
database, and it has everything online. One of the other things is that if you look at Cameron County, you talk to the Cameron County Adult Probation Department, we have a high number of probationers, whether it's sex offenders or otherwise. And when you start looking at criminal background checks, either for federal supervision or county supervision here locally, you know, we have a disproportionate number of people on probation. And when you talk about sex offenders, I think you had some of the numbers here. We also have a very high concentration for our area as well. And so if you have people who are mom and pop who have a duplex or whatever else, if they're not doing any type of background check, they may have a felon, let alone a sex offender, renting from them without knowledge, and then you're in a situation where if you're going to have enforcement, how are we going to enforce this? And then the other thing is that if you're already a felon, it's kind of hard to get a job in the first place.
Sure.
So what type of transit are you going to use? You're probably going to use public transit because you can't afford a car, et cetera, because you're not going to get a good job after you've been a registered sex offender normally.
Well, I think sex offenders, I would hope, would try to avoid these kind of situations, because if they're on probation, they'd be violating of an ordinance and they'd be violating of probation.
Well, they register for life. It's not just after they complete their parole or whatever else, they continue to register, and with the current laws and statuses, they would register for life, not just during their parole or supervised release term.
So if I may continue. So if we're doing everything we can to minimize the risk by doing this application, incorporating into the permitting when they go build apartments, that they're given this instructions or information that they need to be responsible to do this, along with any numbers that are out there where they can do some background check on sex offenders. You know, incorporate into our system, not just pass an ordinance, where it raises awareness, it educates the landlord on what his duties are, and it also brings in the law enforcement side, like the parole officers, on board to make sure that their parolees are not violating our city ordinance. I think that will minimize the risk. It's not perfect, but I think this is a good effort to reduce the risk for children. And anything you're doing along those lines, I commend you for it. I know it's not perfect, but I think it's going to help.
Are you going to address those issues, or do you want to vote on it tonight?
I would suggest we go back and address those issues. I mean, I may as well bring something that's complete, and this is good input, so I would like to go back and, you know.
I would recommend that you contact Cameron County
Sure.
Adult Probation and possibly even the Federal Probation Department and talk to them about what some of the regulations are. They've already got systems in place, and they may talk to you because some of the ordinances have been attacked in Houston and San Antonio as unconstitutional, and so we would want to avoid that type of attack. And if we can have something that would mirror what's already in place from the supervisory agencies, we could probably avoid some of the problems.
That sounds good.
But don't be discouraged.
No, it's
Please
a
follow
good process.
through. Follow through. Don't be discouraged. Bring it back. Okay?
Oh, sure.
Don't let it sit there.
Will you be, or someone be looking, once the ordinance passes, will you be looking at existing apartment complexes or places that we know rent rooms or homes in the areas that you're talking about, the schools and the parks and such, and having an in-service or notifying those specific apartment buildings, look, this is a new ordinance and you happen to fall within this radius, and so on and so forth?
That's a good point. We may have to work in conjunction, you know, with the police or somebody and maybe create some sort of notification just to raise awareness.
I think you should, because otherwise they won't
Sure.
know that the ordinance exists.
No, that's a good point.
Okay. So can we have a motion to table this so she can bring it back?
So moved.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Look forward to hearing
Thank
from
you,
you.
Allison.
Again, for taking me for item 8.
Item 8, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number CL 2010-002 to allow a game arcade at 1004 Central Boulevard.
Didn't we have a moratorium, or is that expired?
There's no moratorium, Commissioner
The
Triano.
moratorium died.
The last,
I don't know. Let's find out.
this is a Class L permit request for a arcade, sweepstakes arcade at 1004 Central Boulevard. On the site plan, Central Boulevard, the Resaca, across the Resaca, Central Diagnostic, and then the Valley Baptist Hospital. On the northeast side, you have Harmony School. As you can see from the site plan, the building is going to be divided into lease spaces. They want to utilize the one in the rear of the building. This is
Right now it's closed.
it's vacant. The building is vacant. So they'll put some money into the building. They'll.
What's your recommendation?
I beg your pardon?
What's your staff recommendation?
Well, Mayor, in the last request that we brought to you, this is a special permit. All the cases have been denied. In this case, they're coming before you because of the residential areas in the rear and the school. And the
This
other,
is a public hearing. Is anybody here against it? Okay, what is your recommendation? Do you have a recommendation on this one?
I think we've got somebody against it.
Yes. Thank you.
Mayor, members of the City Commission, good evening. This is news to me, to begin with. Second, I don't think I would be doing my job if I would not get up here and object to this. Definitely, this is just another place that eventually will turn into gambling, like all the other ones have in the past. Just puts a burden on us to continue to look into these matters and investigate and determine, down the road that
Are these slot machines, or is that?
It's just another form of eight-liners machines. They're more of a sweepstakes. Definitely the district attorney's office is not taking a position yet which way to go on this, but.
Because I called you sometime back to find out whether you thought it was illegal or not. You said, if I recall, you said it wasn't illegal.
That's, in my opinion, it ain't. But
It's not even-
definitely, you know, because the whole deal here is that eventually they will pay money. That's gambling. I don't care what machine you use, if you put money into it and you get money out of it in the future, or, I mean, down the road, it's gambling. It just puts another burden on us to continue to look into these places, because we'll get the complaints.
Well, and how is all the rest of them? I mean, you know, I see them at Four Corners, I see them other places. How come they get permits?
Well, they probably get permits because they don't have to go through a zoning request, if I'm correct.
Okay, so the objection is not the business, it's the location.
Right, the location, Mayor. and-
That's the only problem?
Yes, you're close to a school and within 200 feet of a residential area. And the ordinance calls for when you're abutting those areas, you have to get a special permit. And that's what these people are asking for tonight. They will have,
the showing hours of operation from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
that's correct.
Only?
Yes, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., that's what they're proposing.
10 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
To 10, yeah, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. as well. Okay? And they want to have
So
45
morning till
machines.
morning.
They want to have 45 machines.
That's up PM.
Yeah.
Early morning.
It's from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. So, and the, Mayor, you asked the question, and in this particular case, it's a building that's underutilized, but the use that they intend to do is really not compatible. I mean, you have a school, residential setting, a professional setting, and some residential, multifamily apartments across the street, and also an elderly home right across Ebony Lake. So it's really not compatible use to the area.
These things come here and, you know, it makes no sense to me. Some get approved, some don't get approved. Do y'all have a way to screen these things before they get here to advise them?
Yes, Mayor, we do, and we advise them. Of course, they are paying an application fee, and we have to accept that if they want to take the risk of coming before you. But yes, we advise them of what we need to do to bring it here before you.
So you advise these people the likelihood would be no?
Right.
You did, okay.
And based on the history, all the ones that we brought before you have been denied. So
Because I know it's expensive to go through the process, and you gotta advertise and all that stuff. Good.
The question remains, though, Mr. Medina, what happened to the moratorium that we had at one time?
I checked on that with Mr. Gomez and with our zoning officer. I don't remember the moratorium, but if we did have one at one time, it expired.
There was an expiration date on the moratorium?
Moratoriums have to have an expiration date.
Have to, or
Yes,
did?
no, they have to have an expiration. You can't outlaw a use forever. I mean, there has to be an ordinance or a purpose why you're outlawing. It's not just a blanket
And I think
moratorium.
last time we were going to do a study as to the impact, if I remember correctly. So has that been done? Do we have the information on the impact of arcades, or that hasn't occurred either? So maybe we should institute another moratorium so that we can actually find that information out?
No, I don't.
Actually, the chief provided a presentation a little over a year ago that demonstrated the impact of these arcades on the city. I vividly recall that.
Well, I think he spoke.
I wrote something on it.
We passed the moratorium. And then
Yes.
And then we passed the moratorium, and there was supposed to be a follow-up, and then the moratorium has expired, and now we have this open again. So let's get some information or response and possibly reimpose the moratorium until we can get that.
I just don't want to appear, Chief, I mean, we can't control what people do, okay? Because, I mean, I think you got family that's got one, or somebody connected to your family that's got one.
I'm sorry?
I've heard you have somebody in your family that's got, or connected to your family may have one, I don't know. It's
No, sir, I do
illegal,
not.
no?
No, sir, I do not.
That's
And if they call themselves family members, then they're not
It's
family members.
some may do call you
Well,
special.
I have family that comes out of the woodworks for a lot of things.
But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. I don't want it to appear that it's acceptable for some and not acceptable for others.
Correct.
Either we do it, and I've said this before.
Yes, sir.
Either we do it and allow it and monitor it, that it's legal, or we don't do it. Because it's not fair to let some operate and others not.
Correct. And the machines themselves are not illegal, it's just the way they go about doing business with the machines.
But, you know,
But
you
that's
see all
our
these
decision,
other,
Mayor.
you see, I mean, but we're giving permits to others, and it makes no sense to me.
Well, because again, the machines are not illegal and the permits are, Mr. Gomez is here, and he keeps us posted as the number of arcades that open up with the permits. Because they don't have to go through zoning requirements because it already meets the zoning requirements for a business like
No,
this.
I understand this right here. I understand this because of the zoning, that's the objection.
Right.
But you're making a statement that they're, you know, it's gambling and all this other stuff.
Oh, well, I
But we
mean-
have all these other arcades here.
That's correct, and we continue to
You
work
know,
on
and we
those.
allow them to operate, you know, and.
I
we
don't.
issue-
I mean-
And we issue permits.
The city, this city issues permits because.
But I took a stand with you, if you recall, and I
Yes,
was the
sir.
only one standing up there at one time.
Yes, sir.
But then I started analyzing, you know, the position I put myself in when I see all these, that we continue to give them permits.
That's,
So, I mean,
that's another
I
department.
think the city should look at whether we're gonna allow it or not. Because, I mean, it's not fair to allow some and permit them, and then turn around and deny somebody else. I think either we do it or we don't.
Well, my objection would be, my recommendation would be no, because it just add another thing for us to concern ourselves with, something else to go investigate, because people will complain with time that they're paying money. I mean, we get the information through Crime Stoppers, we get the information through confidential sources, that eventually these places do pay money. That's why people go to these arcades. But that's, you know, I'm just one person.
Because I suggested, remember, the one-time fee of $2,000
I think Mr. Saucy wants to say something.
for a permit and.
I was, here we go. I was going to suggest that if the city commission wants to take a look at imposing the moratorium, again, for the purpose of studying this issue, you could table it and put a moratorium on the agenda for the next city commission meeting.
But
If the
everybody's
purpose of,
grandfathered.
if the purpose of the first moratorium was to study this, and the issue hasn't been properly studied, the city may want to study the issue more carefully, consider, and consider zoning changes upon properly examining the issue.
Well, I think the issue here is the location. It's not the business, it's just the location.
Well, that's exactly why you would study the issue in terms of where to put it, because the zoning changes would address the issue of location.
Can we may have a motion to table this, or no? No, you have to close the public hearing on this one. We close the public hearing on this one and vote on this one. Right?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action item.
Move to strike?
You have a motion to strike?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item.
Item 9, public hearing and action to authorize the issuance of a new taxi cab permit to Mr. Rafael Velez on a 2002 Ford Windstar van that he will be operating for Longoria Taxi.
Move to approve.
Second.
Well, wait a second. This is a public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jumped the gun.
Mr. Velez has met all the requirements under the city ordinance to obtain a motor cab permit. If the permit is approved, there will be 64 permits. We're authorized by city ordinance to be 125 or 125.
So we're underserved.
We're in.
Move to close?
We have a motion to
Second.
close, and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All
City
opposed?
Secretary, I'll abstain, that's my uncle's business.
All opposed? Motion carries. Public hearings, public comments, we have one. Item 11,
Item 11, consideration and action on amendment number 40 for engineering work to design the installation of a precision approach path indicator system at the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Mayor, City Commissioners, my name is Larry Brown. I serve the citizens as the Director of Aviation for Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. The City Commission is asked to consider and act upon this request. It is for engineering work for the replacement of a piece of equipment that a pilot uses in order to land an aircraft. The actual equipment that is there now is called a VASI. It's being replaced with more advanced piece of equipment called a PAPI. That's a precision approach pathway indicator. It's a device that the pilot used to line up his aircraft properly to land it. HNTB, under the terms of an existing contract, an amendment to it, did the threshold displacement work associated with runway 1735, and they are proposed to be under contract with us to do the engineering work to replace this last piece of equipment, which will conclude the threshold replacement the threshold displacement contract. This is funded 100% by the FAA and is working under an agreement with the FAA. Staff recommends approval as does the Airport Advisory Board.
Move to approve.
Second.
wait, this is public hearing, isn't it?
No, it's not.
No, I'm sorry.
No, action item.
I'm sorry. We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 14,
Better time, Mayor Brown.
Item 12, consideration and action on supplemental agreement number 1 to amendment number 37 for engineering work by HNTB for drainage improvements on the south side of the airport.
The City
Sorry, the
Commission,
north side.
Mayor and City Commissioners, as you may recall, the City of Brownsville received 2 grants. They're called Hurricane Dolly grants for improvement to the drainage system at the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. This is an amendment. We have completed 7 projects under those 2 grants, and there is approximately $700,000 left under the 2 grants. We're taking advantage with these projects of those remaining funds and using those remaining funds instead of returning those back to the FAA. The first of the projects is for some additional north side drainage work that is to be designed under Amendment 37 by HNTB for north side improvements that had to do with such things as drainage structures, grates that are partly a security concern, as well as some pipe work. Okay, staff recommends approval as well as the Airport Advisory Board.
okay.
Move to approve.
Got a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 13,
Item 13, consideration and action on amendment number 41 to the contract with HNTB for engineering work for drainage improvement design on the south side of Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Again, this is to be funded with Hurricane Dolly grant funds that are available. The project itself is a significant project. It involves the design work to accomplish improvements that have built up. The problem has built up over a period of the last 50 years. That has to do with significant amount of vegetation that exists between both of the runways of the airport. This proposal would in effect restore the profiles to the existing drainage ditches on the south side of the airport. This engineering contract is to do the design work for that. We will then bid the project out, again using Hurricane Dolly funds, hire a contractor to come in, restore the ditch profiles, as well as provide areas adjacent to those ditches for future maintenance work. As I said, this problem has been building up over a problem of about 50 years now. We have aerial photographs that show this is a plowed field 50 years ago. And our efforts is try to restore the drainage ditch system on the south side of the airport. Again, staff recommends approval, as does the advisory board.
Move to approve.
Second.
we have a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item?
Next item is change order,
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Item 14, consideration and action on change order number 3 for AIP project number 3-8-0031-35, drainage as funded by the Federal Aviation Administration.
This is change order number 3 to an existing construction contract with Klausner Construction Company. It is again drainage type improvements. The total amount is $31,216.21. It is for north side drainage improvements that I mentioned earlier, those type of improvements. Again, this is well within the required maximum of 25% in terms of total change orders. So again, staff recommends approval, as does the Airport Advisory Board.
So moved.
Motion, second. Who makes the second?
I do.
Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 15, consideration and action on a lease with Hunt Pan Am Incorporated for hangar suite number 7 of building number 16 at the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
This is for a single hangar, a lease for a single hangar to Hunt Pan Am Aviation, which is doing an expansion project by moving into this hangar. The total rental value for the period of year is $47,000 of new revenue to the airport. They will be expanding their business and taking some of their existing cargo aircraft and housing those inside of this hangar. Again, staff recommends approval, as does the Airport Advisory Board.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Who makes second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gallant. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank
Next
you.
item, 16.
Item 16, consideration and action to award a renewal contract for software maintenance and technical support for the Public Safety Information System for the Brownsville Police Department and the Brownsville Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. Staff recommendation is to award a term contract for renewal of software, maintenance, and technical support for Public Safety Information System in the amount of $101,262 for the Brownsville Police Department and $25,939 for the Brownsville Fire Department, to Spillman Technologies of Logan, Utah, for a total contract renewal amount of $127,201. This year, we're combining the maintenance agreements between the Brownsville Fire Department and the Police Department. This contract shall commence upon award by the City Commission and shall expire September 30th, 2011. Funding is in place, and the administration of the Police Department, along with the Fire Department, concur with this recommendation.
And the funds are already allocated?
Yes, this is coming from the general fund.
Would approve.
Okay, it's an action item. We have a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 17.
Item 17, consideration and action to authorize amendment number 3 to the engineering contract for construction of the East Loop project.
I'm going to read the recap. The original consultant engineering contract with traffic engineers for the construction of the East Loop project was awarded back in November 16, 1999, for a total amount of $1,028,500. Then on July the 24th, 2001, an amendment to the consulting engineering contract was awarded in the amount of $588,149.60. On November the 3rd, 2008, the second amendment for additional services was presented before City Commission in the amount of $400,238.43, which was giving us a total amount of $2,016,888.07. The update, in October 27 of this year, the City of Brownsville received a letter from Rick Stagel. He's the traffic engineer, who requested a contract amendment for the East Loop project to provide additional environmental assessment work that was not included in the original scope. So the recommendation is to authorize project change order amendment number 3 to the engineering contract for construction of East Loop project to traffic engineers out of Houston, Texas, in the amount of $71,640. That will give us a total contract value for the East Loop project of $2,088,528.07. Now, funding for this amendment will be funded by the Cameron County Regional Mobility Authority, and the administration of the engineering department concurs with this recommendation.
Move to approve.
We have a motion approved and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.